Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachak, Wadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Salutations. Much love and respect to you, Akim, out there pushing this word out in truth and sincerity. This is a book that I had since I was a kid, since I was a child, not a kid, but a young child, from somebody that was basically like an uncle to me, you know, and he was into that black consciousness stuff. But, you know, a lot of the things he said, you know, was true. You know, he said a lot of things that was also true, you know. He mentioned a lot of things that I believed in the spirit, but in some of the things I said was BS in the spirit. I never believed it, you know. But this is a book that he sent to me. All right. Or actually, he gave it to my father, and I took it from my father. And the cover of it is We the Black Jews. This is volume 1 and 2 by Yosef A. Ben Yochanan. All right. And the point I want to get in this particular book is this part of the book, and this is referencing another book which was written by a small hat. All right. And it's entitled The Black Jews of Harlem Who Decides Their Jewishness. Is there a Jewish race? I'll say it like that. What color is the Jewish race? So this book was written back in the 60s. Okay. When Jakes were starting to call themselves Israelites, right? Or at that time, you know, Jewish, you know, they were following the small hat customs and so on and so forth, right? But they still didn't have the breath. Although they were following the small hat customs, they still didn't have the breath at this time. It says, see front cover of Howard Brott's book. So this was written by Howard Brott, which is a so-called small hat. It says, the black Jews of Harlem, all three of these rabbis have died since this picture was taken at Harlem's East River, 135th Street, New York. All right. And I'm going to have to go into this book more, maybe do some more lessons on this book. But I want to come here to this particular page. And it says America's, and this is part of the book, right? The one that the small hat wrote, The Black Jews of Harlem. It says America's Black Jews. It says more than 100,000 Negroes now proclaim their loyalty to ancient Hebrew religion. So there was 100,000 Jakes at that time that was turned into their Israelite religion. 100,000. This is in the 60s. Okay, so there was already 100,000 or more Jakes that were turned into, that were becoming, proclaiming themselves to be Israelites. Right. So matter of fact, let me read a scripture real quick just to start with that. It's going to be hard for me to hold this. You know, I'm trying to do this in the Elder Malcolm style today. All right, because I'm going to show you the receipts, you know, the book that I have here. But I'm going to also pull up the scriptures here on my computer and read it. OK, so that showed you that back in the 60s with, with the commandment keepers and all that, there was over 100,000 Jakes that was proclaiming to be Israelites. Hold on, so you see it right there. But hold on, I'm pulling up Ezekiel, the 37th chapter, right? This is Ezekiel 37 in verse 1. It says, the hand of Yahweh was upon me and carried me out in the spirit of Yahweh and set me down in the midst of the valley, which was full of bones, right? And the valley represents a low land, right? That represents America. America is what? The valley of the shadow of death, because it's a low land, low morally, low spiritually. Okay? It just has a low vibration in Babylon. And caused me to pass by them round about. and behold, they were very many in the open valley, and lo, they were very dry. And he said unto me, Son of man, can these bones live? Right? Can these bones live? Right? Can these Israelites be revived and live, right? To understand who they are and understand Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai. Okay? It says, and I answered, O Lord, power, thou knowest. Again he said unto me, I'm trying to focus this. And I answered, O Lord, power, thou knowest. And he said unto me, prophesy upon these bones, and say unto them, O ye dry bones, hear the word of Yahweh, right? And they started to speak about the words of Yahweh back then in around in the 1960s, even before Elder Abba Bivens, right? And really even before that, there were certain people, but it really started to pop off in the 60s, right? And as you can see here, over 100,000 so-called Negroes were calling themselves Israelites and practicing at that time, what they would call Judaism. It says, again, he said unto me, prophesy upon these bones, and say unto them, O ye dry bones, hear the word of the Lord. Right? Thus saith the Lord power unto these bones, behold, I will cause breath to enter into you, and ye shall live. See, at this time, they didn't have the breath. Okay? They didn't have the breath at this time. Right? They were just starting to wake up. Okay? They were just starting to wake up. They were just starting to, come together. It says, and I will lay sinews upon you, and will bring up flesh upon you, and cover you with skin. You see? So you're starting to know who you are, right? And put breath in you, and ye shall live, and ye shall know that I am Yahweh. So I prophesied as I was commanded, and as I prophesied, there was a noise, and behold, a shaking, and the bones came together, bone to his bone. And this is what's happening. Okay, they were starting to realize who they were. I'm gonna just keep reading, but I just want to read the scripture first. Okay. And when I beheld, lo, the sinews and the flesh came up upon them, and the skin covered them above, but there was no breath in them. But yet there was no breath because what? They didn't really fully understand who they were. Okay. I mean, they didn't fully understand the full gospel. Excuse me. That's what I want to say. They didn't understand the full gospel. All right. They didn't understand they weren't really getting into Yahweh Shai at this time. All right. That happened with what? When Elder Abba Bivens came on the scene. Okay. It said, but there was no breath in them. Then said he unto me, prophesy unto the wind, prophesy, son of man, and say to the wind, thus saith the Lord power, come from the four winds, O breath, and breathe upon these slain, that they may live. So I prophesied as he commanded me, and the breath came into them, and they lived and stood up upon their feet, an exceeding great army. See, so that didn't happen until Elder Abba Bivens came on the scene and passed it down to King Masha, High Priest Ariyah, Elder High Priest Yaiquab, Elder High Priest Shah, so on and so forth. The elders that we learn about, that we never met, but we learn about, right? So when you come here to Revelations 8:11 and 8, Salakia, it says, and their dead bodies shall lie in the street of that great city, which is that valley, that lowland, which spiritually is called Sodom in Egypt. Okay, where also our Lord was crucified. That's speaking about America, right? That's all spiritual. It's not physical. And they of the people and kindreds and tongues and nations shall see their dead bodies 3 days and a half. That's that 350 years. That's what the 3 days and a half represent of the time since what? The bulk of the Negroes, right? The Southern Kingdom came over here in 1619, because the Northern Kingdom was already on this side of the earth. They were just waiting for their brothers, the Southern Kingdom, to get over here, right? When the bulk came was 1619, right? Around that time. And when was Elder Abba Bivens, came on the scene and started to broke off from the commandment keepers and teach about Yahweh Shai, was about 1969, around that time. All right. So that's the 350 years. Okay? It says, and shall not suffer their dead bodies to be put in graves. Right? Meaning they didn't tell us who we were, and they didn't help us out. Okay? It said, and they that dwell upon the earth shall rejoice over them and make merry, and shall send gifts one to another, because these two prophets tormented them that dwelt on the earth. And after 3 days and a half, after that 350 years of life from, the spirit of life from the Most High, that breath entered into them, and they stood upon their feet, and great fear fell upon them which saw them. This is the prophecy of Ezekiel 37. This is what's been happening, and this is why so many Jakes, now it's millions of Jakes that identify as being Israelites. So let's continue and read. It says, more than 100,000 Negroes now proclaim their loyalty to ancient Hebrew religion. Right? This is, like I said, this is in the 1960s. It says, America's black Jews, whose numbers exceed 100,000, are not integrated officially into any three main divisions of Jewry, but their strict observance of the ancient Hebrew mitzvot, commandments, proclaim their loyalty to the ancient religion. The commandment keepers, right, which we know the Elder Abba Bivens, he broke off from the commandment keepers, founded in Harlem 38 years ago, is probably the largest and best known Negro Jewish group in the United States. The sect has 1,100 registered members, practically all of whom are Negroes. Use of the word Negro, however, is forbidden. Black Jews are insulted when so categorized. We abhor the word Negro, says Rabbi Wentworth Arthur Matthew. Right? You've heard about him before. Vocab, that devil mentions him a lot. Right? It says aggressive African-born spiritual leader of the group. I am not a Negro, never have been. I am an American, and so are all of my children. Today we have 16 million colored Americans, and you're not Afro-American either. You're supposed to be calling yourself, which, they didn't have the full truth back then, right? You're supposed to be calling themselves, they're supposed to be calling themselves Israelites. It says today we have 16 million colored Americans. Tomorrow we will have 16 million black Jews. Okay? I want you to see this. I want you to see what I'm reading here. Okay? I want you to see what I'm reading here. Okay? Look right here. Right? Look right there. It says today we have 16 million colored Americans. Tomorrow we will have 16 million black Jews. So he prophesied that that ultimately Jake would start to wake up more and more. Okay, that this was just the beginning. Okay, and now as you see, there's millions of Jakes, Negroes, that identify as Israelites. Okay, right? We don't deal with the term black, because the word black is, that's a negative connotation. There's no nation as nation called black. We are Israelites. Okay, it says the existence of this sect has led to a spiritual discussion by Jewish scholars over their right to classification as Jews. For 5 years, Rabbi Irving Block of New York's Reformed Brotherhood Synagogue has been trying to get the commandment keepers recognized by the main body of Jewry. And this is a so-called Jew that was actually fighting to get the Israelites recognized. Actually, this was a so-called Jew, which who knows if he actually is an Amalekite, or the spirit was on him to try to fight for us to be recognized, right? Whatever the case may be, Any group, and this is his quote, it says, any group of people, he states, who say they are Jewish and who follow the practices and traditions of Judaism are Jews. Another prominent Reform rabbi welcomes the sect into Jewry and chides white Jews who scoff at its authenticity. Some of our Jews, right, meaning them Edomite Jews, okay, not Jew, the Edomites, okay, he says have not awakened to the fact that we are Jews by conviction and not by blood. Let me read that again, okay? Let me read this again, man. You know, and this will be good for the Elder Malcolm, man. All right, it says, another prominent Reform rabbi, this is his style, I'm doing his style lesson right now. It says, another prominent Reform rabbi welcomes the sect of into Jewry and chides white Jews who scoff at its authenticity. Some of our Jews, speaking about meaning the Edomite ones, the so-called white ones, right, who descend from Edomites, all right, he says have not awakened to the fact that we are Jews by conviction and not by blood. I gotta highlight that one, okay, meaning that their ancestry does not go back to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Okay, they're just converted to that religion. That's what he's saying there. Okay, that's what he's saying there. Okay, I don't know if I have to read it a third time for you to understand, but it's very simple. That's what he's saying. He's saying they're Jews by conviction and not by blood. They're Israelites by conviction and not by blood. Which you can't be an Israelite by conviction. You have to be an Israelite by blood. Okay, there's no such thing as a you not an Israelite, but you're a spiritual Israelite. Let's go to what Yahweh Shai said to the woman at the well. This is John 4 and verse 15. It says, I'll start at verse, I'll start at verse 7. It reads, there cometh a woman of Samaria to draw water. Yahweh Shai saith unto her, give me to drink, for his disciples were gone away unto the city to buy meat. Then saith the woman of Samaria unto him, and this was a heathen, this was not an Israelite, okay? How is it that thou being a Jew askest drink of me, which am a woman of Samaria? For the Jews, meaning the Israelites, have no dealings with the Samaritans. Why? Because they knew that they were heathens that were planted into that land. It says, Yahweh Shai answered and said unto her, if thou knewest the gift of the Most High, and who it is that saith to thee, give me to drink. So I can just put this closing on. Give me a second. Let me just try. Let's put this here. Okay. And, right. Okay, so let me continue. It says, Yahweh Shai answered and said unto her, if thou knewest the gift of the Most High, and who it is that saith to thee, give me to drink, thou wouldest have asked of him, and he would have given thee living water. Right? And he was just messing with her. Okay, because why didn't he give her the living water when she asked? It wasn't for her. Art thou greater than our father Jacob, which gave us the well, and drank thereof himself, and his children, and his cattle? Yahweh Shai answered and said unto her, whosoever drinketh of this water shall thirst again, but whosoever drinketh of the water that I shall give him shall never thirst. But the water that I shall give him shall be in him a well of water springing up into everlasting life. The woman saith unto him, Sir, give me this water, that I thirst not, neither come hither to draw. Yahweh Shai saith unto her, Go call thy husband and come hither. The woman The woman answered and said, I have no husband. Yahushua said unto her, Thou hast well said, I have no husband. For thou hast had 5 husbands, and he whom thou now hast is not thy husband. In that sayest thou truly. So he was basically calling her a hoe. All right. He was messing with her. Go get your husband. Oh, I don't have a husband. He's like, yeah, I know you don't have a husband because you had 5 husbands. Okay. It says, the woman said unto him, Sir, I perceive that thou art a prophet. You know, why didn't he say your sins are forgiven? Sin no more. Because it's not for her. Okay. It says, our fathers worshipped in this mountain, and ye say that in Jerusalem is the place where men ought to worship. Yahushua saith unto her, Woman, believe me, the hour cometh when ye shall neither in this mountain nor yet at Jerusalem worship the Father. Ye worship ye know not what. We know what we worship, for salvation is of the Jews, meaning of the true descendants of Israel. Okay? You understand? But the hour cometh, and now is, when the true worshipers shall worship the Father in spirit and in truth, for the Father seeketh such to worship him. Okay? So at the end of the day, he was telling this woman the salvation is for who? It's for the Israelites. It's not for her. Okay? So coming to this, them Amalekites were admitting in this particular book that what? That, listen, I'll read it again, man. Let me read it one more time, man. Let me read it one more time, that position. It says, because they were scoffing at the commandment keepers and the jakes that were coming into the, to the realization they were Israelites. And that's what them Edomites were doing. But then you had particular rabbis that were correcting them and saying, listen, man, it says, I'll read it from here. It says, today we have 60, no, not that part. Salakia, it says right here, it says, another prominent Reform rabbi welcomes the sect into Jewry and chides, meaning to corrects or rebukes white Jews who scoff at its authenticity. Some of our Jews, he says, have not awakened to the fact that we, meaning the Edomites, the so-called white Jews, are Jews by conviction and not by blood. This is the point that we've been making. There is no Jewish race, and black as well as white Jews are equally members of the Jewish people. No, that's not true, right? Them Israelites that were coming back to being Israelites, those were the true Israelites. Okay, so he tried to lump us in there as being, none of us are real Jews. We're just by conviction. No. We are the real Israelites. We do descend from the Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. All right, and it continues to say the commandment keepers maintain close spiritual and sentimental ties to Ethiopia, which was they were going off. We have nothing to do with Ethiopia. It says we're some 60,000 black Jews called Falasha, which that has nothing to do with us, live like the Falashas of Ethiopia. The commandment keepers claim to be descendants of King Solomon and Queen Sheba, which is going off. Okay, that's going off. They were going off with that. That's why they didn't have the breath. Okay, but guess what? The Elder Alba Bivens, he came to the true understanding. Okay, it says the Harlem Jews live an austere communal life according to the precepts of the Talmud, which is going off. They're going off on that. All right, because they didn't know. All right, it says they eat the traditional matzah during Passover, meticulously maintain kosher kitchens in their homes, and buy their meat from kosher butchers like white Jews. They are awaiting the coming of the Messiah, who will usher in a messianic age. See, so they didn't even understand. The commandment keepers didn't even understand that the Lord already came. Okay, see, that was the difference between them and Elder Abba Bivens. That was the difference. Okay, and the Lord was dealing with him because that was Elijah coming back to what? To bring the children to the Father. Hold on, let's get that. Okay. This is Malachi 4 and 5. It says, behold, I will send you Elijah the prophet before the coming. Behold, I will send you Elijah before the Elijah the prophet before the coming of the great and dreadful day of the Lord. And we're in that time, right? Of the dreadful day of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. We're coming up into that time. And he shall turn, and he already came and left. And he shall turn the heart of the fathers to the children, and the heart of the children to their fathers, lest I come and smite the earth with a curse. See, that the commandment keepers were the beginning of Jake starting to, be connected to being Israelites, but they were going off. Elder Abba Bivens came with the full understanding, and start proclaiming that Yahushua already came and is getting ready to come back. All right, you understand what I'm saying? And cutting off that Ethiopian madness. See, they're trying to mix it with. If they were coming like them Rastas came, that's going off. Okay, we have nothing to do with Ethiopia. All right, we are Israelites. You understand what I'm saying? So this was interesting, man. I was just reading this and I said, let me do a lesson on this, man. Very interesting, right? The book was written by a so-called Jew, and it was called the Black Jews of Harlem, man. This is when things was getting popular. And even back then in the 1960s, there was over 100,000 Jakes, so-called black people, proclaiming to be Israelites and following that way, man. Very interesting, man. And Lord willing, I'll do some more lessons on this, these Elder Malcolm style lessons on this book, if the Spirit hits me. With that, I'll say shalom.